everybody. Yes, we are here on Bunny Day. Happy Easter, whatever you want to call it these days, because nobody, I don't know. But anyway, happy Easter, happy whatever. And this is your girl Pam. I am going to give it to you my way, and we're going to keep it pushing.
You got your boy Carlos Mack. Always going to give it to you my way. Who do we have as a guest today?
This is your boy Clutch, the game shifter, man. Hip hop artist, public speaker. A few times being on here with y'all. I'm happy to be back.
Welcome back, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
And ma'am, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Natanya Tillman. This is my first time being on here. I am a school administrator, also a
Miss Tillman, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I think
I'm
Pam
sorry.
trying something new.
I see my mic was muted.
No, keep going. That was my fault because I was trying to get to another section because I want to pull your information up. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
Keep going. Keep telling everybody about
All right.
you.
So I'm Natanya Tillman. This is my first time appearing. I am a school administrator as well as a business owner in Aiken County and Edgefield County.
Okay. So, Miss Tillman, tell us what you have going on with your business. Tell us more about what you do as a business owner.
So we have several businesses. My personal business, I have a mobile learning company, and also we have.
So who is we?
Me and my husband, Ronnie.
Okay.
Tillman.
Okay.
We have he's a home builder, so we build homes. So we're promoting that a lot lately, trying to help people to build custom homes. And then we also have Vision 2020, which is a 501c3 organization. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit about that today with you all. Correct?
Okay. So tell I know with the Vision 2020, that's in January, right? You're going to have a little program in January?
In June, we have.
In June.
So we do a couple of different things. Vision 2020 is a 501c3 corporation formed to bring revitalization and economic growth into the community. And so in March every year, we do a March for Hope, which is a health and wellness mega festival. And this year is our inaugural Juneteenth event to celebrate June 19th, which is known as Freedom Day in America. It's the day that the enslaved people in Galveston, Texas got the news that slavery had been abolished and they were free. So it's called Freedom Day. 47 states in the United States celebrate Freedom Day. And this year we decided to bring a mega festival for Edgefield and Aiken County to participate in.
Okay, sounds really good. So please put all of your information about what you and your husband have going on, what you have going on in the comments. Share the flyer as well. I did try to share it earlier and I was unable to. So share the flyer too in the comment. And so now we're going to go on to the topic of the day. And then we're going to revisit back to you, Ms. Tillman, about your programs and everything like that. But we do have a topic. Are y'all ready?
Here we go.
Okay, so we lost Clutch. Clutch got nervous.
Off. Mm-hmm.
He'll be back.
You know what it is.
So the topic of the day is a lot of times men are not sure if they are actually the father of a child. And so should the mother or should men have to have a DNA test, married or single, when a baby is born? So that's our topic for today.
Oh yeah, I'll get this popping. Absolutely.
Let Miss Tillman go first because she's gonna be a little short.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, all right, we'll give our guest opportunity. Go ahead. Real short. What's going on? Y'all playing hot potato.
Okay.
Chairs. Again, I'll go ahead and answer that. Well, let's see if she pops back on. What you think, Clutch?
100%. This is something that should have been put into legislation a long time ago. The only person that is 100% sure that a child is theirs is a woman.
Sometimes.
That's the only person on it. There has never been a man on earth that knew 100% that a pregnant woman's child was his until a DNA test, or he can see himself in that child after it's born. Outside of that, the only person that has the confidence of knowing this is my baby is a woman. So I don't care if you married or not. You know how many married men are taking care of children that ain't theirs? You know what I mean? Like, so absolutely. And we're in a time of technology to where it wouldn't take nothing to do a swab on every child that was born to make sure that the rightful parent is the one taking responsibility for them.
So, Ms. Tillman, do you think it's offensive to women for a man to ask that question or to want that to be done if you're married or in a committed relationship?
I do.
I know you're my wife, but I need that test, baby.
I think that breaks boundaries of trust in the relationship, especially in a marriage or a monogamous relationship. I think that breaks boundaries of trust when you begin to question if the female is carrying your child. And so for me, I know in my marriage, if my husband was a question if our baby was if our unborn child or born child was his, that would really be a tough situation.
Be a problem.
Right. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, my question is, I guess in response to that is, how important is it? Is it more important that a woman feels that her trust is not questioned, or is it more important that this man for 20 some odd years, because you know these kids they stay at home longer and longer these days, is it more important that the man for those years have confidence and think about how valuable it is that this man is sure throughout all those years, he doesn't question it. How much more is he going to give? Or is it more important that the woman just feels that he doesn't question it at all? That's my question to you, Ms. Tillman.
I kind of feel as if those are the same thing. So basically, if you've been with me for some amount of time and you have doubts, and no matter how many years it is, I kind of feel as if the trust wasn't there anyway. Which again, in my opinion, is just about the boundaries of trust that is crossed. Whether it's right when it's to bring a child into the world or not, I think that's just a boundaries of trust. I don't think that there's any room for that to be questioned.
Now, Ms. Tillman, make sure we don't.
And if you get to the point where you begin to question that if you get to the point where you begin to question if your mate is being truthful, then I think there's a bigger problem than just.
Now make sure. Excuse me, Pam. Make sure that you don't have any of the applications open. That way, it doesn't have it use as much bandwidth. Sometimes that helps because you're chopping up. But go ahead, Pam. What were you asking?
Well, I have a different perspective from Ms. Tillman. I guess I feel like once I don't feel like it's a violation. I feel like once you have a child I feel like it's important that the father knows that he is the father. And because I look at it as a business, because there's a contract that you're gonna have to have, you know, per se, where you're gonna have to take care of this child for 18 years and be responsible for this child, even if we're not together. So I take that as being very serious. I'm probably the only woman that probably wouldn't take offense to my husband or someone that I'm been seriously dating to get that, because I want him to be sure or him to know that this is his child and that it's very important that he plays a very valuable role into the child's life. Yeah. I think that oftentimes that the women we get so emotional about situations and we don't understand the importance of, you know, what it really is, because having a child is really a job, it's a contract, it's a business. You know, realistically, you know what I'm saying? I'm maybe not saying in the right way, because you want to say having a child is a joy, it's all that kind of stuff. But it is a financial responsibility that the man has to also be a part of. And I think that is necessary, because I know a lot of women that have pent babies on guys that, and they were nice women. They were nice, decent women, but they were too embarrassed to say they made a mistake. And that mistake ended up being where this child had to suffer.
I think definitely the married
Um,
couples have a little bit more of I guess you can say it's more complicated emotionally, but when it comes to looking at I think in order to eliminate a lot of issues, because I think a lot of guys kind of check out when they're not sure, they 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But especially in a boyfriend girlfriend situation, I think it's absolutely necessary that they get a test. Now, a lot of women feel like,
well,
say if it's your daughter, a lot of women feel like if it's their daughter, oh, how dare you question the virtue of my daughter. But if that same woman has a son and she feels like the girlfriend, or she's not cool with the girlfriend on that level, then she's going to absolutely tell the son to get a test. It's like a double standard, I think.
so Clutch, what you think?
Her response is to me a perfect example of that. Women don't care nothing about how we feel. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They care zero about how we feel. It's basically, this is how I feel about it, and you should accept it. It's kind of like what Carlos was saying. What's more important? Is it more important that you don't feel offended, or is it more important that that I get that same confidence that you have?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You have the confidence of knowing. Why would you not, if you truly love this man that you're with, why would you not want him to have that same confidence that you have, that this is my baby?
Mm-hmm.
I read a
Well,
story
Clutch, let me
last.
ask you a question. Do you think it's disrespectful to ask your wife or your significant other?
No. I read a story last year. A guy ended up beating up
She's
his
like,
wife because all 3 of his kids wasn't his.
wow.
Married.
Wow.
All three of
wow.
his children were
Now,
not biologically his. So all I'm saying is, women have this thing where it's about them being offended. What is more important? Why would you not, as a wife, want your husband to feel the same confidence that you have? There is nothing on earth. This is something that I don't really expect women to understand, because there's not a woman on the planet that has ever had to feel what it feels like to get a DNA test back for a child you've been raising for 4 years and you find out it ain't yours. There's
crazy.
no woman that understands what it feels like to be in a marriage, find out the child ain't yours, you're already on child support, and you can't get off child support. After you find out that the child is yours, you have to continue to pay for a child that is not yours.
It's very difficult. But it's a lawyer. You got to be involved.
This is something that men go through every single day in our
Well,
country.
if you're married by law, you're responsible for that child regardless.
Even
Miss
if you're
Tillman,
not married,
how do you feel?
I don't know
I
about
see you
that.
making faces.
No.
Even if you're not married,
Cute faces though. You got them cute faces going on.
Even if you're not married and you end up on child support, it is extremely difficult to get off child support for a child that you have taken financial responsibility for, if there wasn't a DNA test done prior to.
Miss Tillman, let me ask you a question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
I can see you. You know, like Pam said, you got the faces going. Okay, I got a question. Like let's just get out of our head for a second and look at it from a different angle. Do you have any children, if I may ask?
Yes, I do.
What do you have?
I have a boy and a girl, and then I have stepchildren. I have my own. I have a boy and a girl. Yes.
All right, your son. Without trying to give out your age, how old is your son?
How old is my son? 27.
All right. So your son, if your son has a child, which I don't know if he does or doesn't.
He does. Okay. We just spent our first Easter together, which is why we're traveling. Yes.
Okay. All right. So if say for instance, you were not, besties with his girl or whatever, would you suggest to him to get a DNA test, or would you say you need to trust this lady? to whatever she says because she's a lady and you're supposed to just basically trust her?
And in all honesty, we had that same conversation. So,
Okay.
if it's his wife, and he felt since it was his wife, I'm gonna say that if he would have felt as if that he needed to do a DNA test, in my mind, that's the deal breaker. If you're questioning someone to that extent, then there is no relationship anyway. Now, I can understand if you are not in a relationship and this may have been just a situation that happened. But if it's someone that you're with and you're committed to, it's a deal breaker. So because there is no way in my mind that you can survive that bit of questioning. That's seed planting. That's to the woman. That's showing. Can you hear me?
You mean in your marriage you can't get past that question because it's such a question of your virtue, basically.
Yes. So that means that if you can question something as important as that, then I don't see how we could survive future incidents. I mean,
so
I can tell you I'm going to the store and you may not believe me. just trust it.
So I got a question then. Is the fidelity of a marriage important?
What now?
The fidelity of a marriage, is that very important? Whether your partner is faithful to you or not.
It is. It's very important.
So have you ever at any point in your marriage or relationship questioned whether your significant other stepped out, cheated, was inappropriate, talked to another woman or anything? Has that ever That's never been a question?
Not the marriage you're in now, but any other relationship. Let's not put her marriage on blast.
No, I'm saying just in general. Has that ever been a question?
That. But I think it's natural. I think it's natural that if certain things don't align, or there is a different pattern going on, that a woman would kind of feel some kind of way. But I think that would be something that you talk to your mate about. So I think it's natural for every woman if something is not lined up. Yes.
So what's the difference?
That's a great question. What's the difference between you during your relationship or in your marriage questioning his virtue, but him questioning your virtue is a deal breaker? Because it can happen in a relationship and you can't get past it. So which one is different? Like what Clutch was saying, you questioning whether or not he really went out with whatever, or whether or not he's really telling you exactly what he's doing. What's the difference between that and him saying, hey, I want to be sure, I don't want any question in the back of my mind, period. Now or later, let's go ahead and get a test. What's the difference?
Well, I think it goes back to what I just said, is that would mean that there are some trust issues and it's a deal breaker. Like that would mean there's some trust issues already there. So,
both of them is trust issues.
Because let's say we do the paternity test, or we do the DNA test, and it comes up as that. It should come up as you are the father.
Yeah. Then you're gonna feel like holding that over his head, so to speak. Like, okay, I told you.
Yeah.
She said forever.
So again,
that's not a very mature way to handle it, I don't think.
All of this is because of the ego.
But I am.
It's all ego. What should happen when it comes back as you are the father. What should happen is after it comes back, you are the father. She should go give him a hug and a kiss.
No,
and say, "Baby, I told you to do it."
Wow,
that's what should happen.
I should not have to prove myself. No. Unless we already
that man had to he had to prove himself to allow you to accept his marriage proposal.
He should have.
He had to prove himself to even be your husband.
Okay, well let me jump in.
I told him that it was his, then that's it. He should just believe it.
Wow. And the biggest thing to me is that you not only feel that way about yourself, but you also, which is weird, because I noticed a lot of women, when it comes to their son, it's a totally different ball game. when they're like, yo, you need to get a test. I don't care if you do it on the side. We need to know for sure if that's my grandbaby. And I've seen it a million times when it comes to that. But when it's their daughter, it's a oh my God, you're testing the virtue of my daughter. But it's the same exact scenario. You never know, and you should be certain. Your husband, your man should know for sure. Because later on, what if you get questions and now you got a rocky relationship because he's not admitting to you because he knows even bringing it up is a problem. So you got some sort of just kill it in the beginning.
Well, realistically, guys, on Mrs. Tillman's defense, if you're married, I actually agree about the DNA test, but I'm not gonna let y'all keep jumping on her. So I'm gonna jump in and throw some swings for her.
It is what it is.
But as a woman, we feel like we already have to prove ourselves as women, and we have to show the men that we love them, and we constantly nourish our men. The men, they oftentimes treat women unfairly, cheat, and different things like that on a woman. You don't find very many women that cheat on their significant other. You don't find that often, but you do find the other way around, where men are more cheaters than women are. Now, also too, if you're married, it don't matter if you get a DNA test or not. By law, you're still responsible for that child.
I don't know about that.
Pam.
That's the law, though.
You gotta adopt that child.
Pam, let me say this too. Let me say this too. There, can I say this? Okay. So when the thing that has to come to mind, the thoughts that should come to your mind is, okay, so what if it comes at the what if? What are your next steps?
What do you mean?
What are your next steps? Let's say we go ahead and have a DNA test. Then what are your next steps? Let's say you've been taking care of this child for the last 2 years, and all of a sudden now you have a DNA test.
So then if it's not his child,
so is that not your child? Is that not the child you'll continue to raise? Are you going to break up with your home?
For some men, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. For some men, absolutely. The reality is that man should have that option. If this is not my child, I choose to stay here and be in this child's life. If this is not my child, I choose to go on with my life and develop my own family. So yes, a man should have that option. What you're saying is he shouldn't have that option. It don't matter whether it's yours or not. He should take care of it. So again, and like what Pam just said, Pam, you are 100% completely incorrect, false. The equal, no. Statistically, cheating in marriages is pretty much equal. And I'm going to wait. Yes, it is. Go look up. Go look up.
Even if it's not exactly equal.
Go look up the stats. Cheating and abuse is pretty much equal. The difference is I don't see some guys the difference is men don't report abuse as much. And whether you women will understand this or not, women are probably more so cheaters than men because men are better side pieces than women are. Men ain't coming to call your boyfriend and tell him, hey, she was with me she was with me yesterday and all this other kind of stuff and posting on his page and trying to cause any drama about it. He get his little nookie when he get his nookie and he kick rocks. Men are better side dudes. So there's a lot of women that are cheating and they ain't got to really worry about this dude calling her. You know what I'm saying? So women do just as much cheating and they put their hands on their spouses and significant others just as much as well.
All the women that I know are good women.
This ain't about the women that we know. This is about statistically what's going on in this country. Women cheat just as much as men do. Women abuse just as much as men do, but they file for divorce 80% of the time. You know why? Because
women cheat with emotion.
Because they benefit from divorces. They benefit. Men don't. Yes.
No. That is not the reason.
Y'all get the children.
That is not why women have
women get the children
because you got the kids.
Women get alimony. Women get the custody.
Well,
they get child support. They get all of these benefits from divorce.
Yeah. In Georgia.
Absolutely. Hold on, let me say this. I know a few of my friends, this real talk, I know a few of my friends that got divorces and had to pay their ex-husband
if they making more, alimony. Yeah, but if they got the kids,
how many
broke bitches? Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to say that. Excuse me.
So in most cases, again, you can yeah, call out outliers if you choose, but in most cases, the women, this is statistically proven. This ain't me. This ain't my opinions. This is statistically proven that in custody cases, women get their children 90% of the time.
Yep.
90.
I gotta put in a
90.
plug right here. There's a lady that's gonna be at the Juneteenth mega festival, hopefully, and
let me
she's a
put them.
lawyer standing up for men getting custody of their children. So
Yeah, but
Right,
that's
so
not usual though. That's
she
not
has to
usual.
do that
But
because
let me
men
tell
don't
you
normally
something.
get custody of their children.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you, that is actually changing because it's a lot. They have done some research saying that when there are some men that fight for their children and their children end up dead and abused, so they are making those changes. Honestly, they are. I know y'all can look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm
Hold on,
being
what you
honest.
said, they
And
fight
if
for their
y'all go
children
to
and
the
the
June
women.
19th and talk to this lawyer, she's gonna tell you the same thing because I always tell you facts.
Okay, no. What
yeah,
you said, I didn't understand what you said. You said they end up dead and abused by who?
By the mother. A lot
Yeah.
of times the fathers that, and this has been, some research has been done, the fathers that have been fighting for their kids have end up the children that they were fighting for, it took so long, the process was taking so long that the kids would end up being abused and or dead, and they are actually taking those cases a little bit more serious nowadays.
Because the stuff that I'm telling you is not made up. Women also abuse their children more than men. 60%. Yes, this is facts. These are
Miss
facts. This is
Tillman,
not.
can you help me because he's trying to say women are just
No, I'm
no.
telling you. I'm
I've been
telling you what.
in the school system
I'm
for
telling you.
19. I have worked with children for 19 years. Been in the public school system, worked at abuse shelters. I've done probably much just as what you could think of in the realm of children, and I have never heard those statistics.
So how about I
Ever.
send y'all these
Never.
statistics when we get off?
Well, we had to see what we had to see what the source is too.
Because this is
right.
what
And
this
that's
is
Source
what
what
might
the
not
thing.
I
be
just
that
want
Like
to say
the
that.
source
if
might
you
not
even
be that credible now.
no, I can give you credible sources. I'm going through a custody battle right now, so I've been studying this stuff like an insane maniac for the past year or so.
Well, you definitely need to come to the
Good.
June
Again,
19th.
you probably should seek out lawyer Shante to help you with that. That's one of her things that women
Well,
should not always end up with the
here's kind of
single
going
mothers
back to
and
what,
not necessarily
go
the
back to
proper
what,
custodial parent.
But this
go
is the
back to
thing
what
though.
we were
These are
talking about.
if you look at just regular numbers, more women have the children than men do.
Is that not
So
correct?
even if
As
you
a
go off
teacher,
if you just go
would you
off
not
the
say that?
numbers, they're more likely to be abusive
Right.
because there's way more single mothers than there are single fathers. So even if you just go off of that alone, the common sense of just those basic numbers would
Right.
tell you that it's more likely for a woman to be abusive than for a
That's a
man to
little.
be
I
abusive.
mean, in the past, it used to be. When I married my husband that I'm married to now, he had custody of his kids.
We're not talking about the extenuating the, like you said
It
earlier,
was
the
no extenuating
outliers.
circumstance.
But
It was
listen,
two very
Well,
you can't
good
use
parents,
the
but he
exception
ended
to
up
the
with custody of
rules.
his
Yeah,
kids.
y'all using the exceptions and not the rule. The rule is 90% of fathers do not get custody. I have no felonies. I ain't never been in trouble my whole life. I ain't never smoked weed, done no drugs, don't have nothing outside of a traffic violation. I've already raised a child that graduated with honors. I went into a courtroom, clean record, and got 2 hours every Saturday and Sunday with my daughter.
In Georgia,
But
you can
I'm
forget
talking
it.
about there is not one thing in my whole
but you
history
got to
of
also
life.
show. This is the thing. You have to also show that
But
the mother is less fit than you are. If you
Why?
know that
Why?
mother is
But
But
see,
not
no,
taking
why?
no, no,
care
no.
of the
that
Why?
you have,
child,
yes,
But,
yes, or that you have,
But
or
that's
that you
not
can
even
bring,
getting equal.
like your basically what you have going on to your work hours between what you can do for the child amount of children has to be at a higher leverage point than the other parent. So there's a lot
So
of things.
you're
It doesn't
proving a
necessarily have to
point.
do with male or female. It just has to be
You guys are proving a
who is the
point.
better suit for the parents, for the
No,
child.
you're proving a point that there was alienation behavior on her behalf. I make more money than she do. I live in a safer neighborhood. I live in a better school district.
Well, then
I have previous parenting history. All of this. The judge didn't even read the motion.
I got a
He just said
question.
primary goes to the mom, and this is the
that
visitation starting off with.
I would say that
it's
that is a rare situation.
It's
Because
not.
that
That is,
should not
it's
I'm
not
telling
like
you,
you
let
went
me-
to a lawyer.
see,
It
y'all
sounds
are
like you
trying
went
to
there
tell
without
us.
a lawyer.
We
Yeah,
y'all
I
are
was
telling
You
y'all.
went
saying
there
like you
without a
didn't have a
lawyer.
good legal team.
Just calm down for a
Yeah,
second.
it's like you didn't have a good legal team.
Y'all hold
Y'all are
up for a
telling
second. Hold up. Everybody
y'all
talking
are
at the same
telling
time.
men what we go through on a regular basis. I've talked to probably dozens of men since this started who it took. I know a guy in London, took him 6 years to get custody of his child. I know a guy here fighting for custody of his child. He's a firefighter, school teacher, track coach, ex-military, top secret clearance, no drugs, no abuse or nothing, fighting to get custody. I mean, to be able to spend time with his child. We see this daily, all the time. And there's a lot of women that are in denial that this is actually what's happening. And this is a lot, some of it is not really the women, it's the system. They're just allowing the system to do what the system does instead of standing on the side of the father of your child. You know what I mean? Unless he's a guy who do you feel like is a threat to your child, he's a threat to the well-being of your child. There should be no reason why these men are in these courtrooms fighting to get every other weekend with they
Well, I
children.
wouldn't say it's
I
exception
totally
to
agree
the
with you on that.
I wouldn't say it's an exception to the rule. I've said in several court cases, I've definitely been written statements and been a test and been a what do you call it, testimonial witness for several fathers who got custody of their children. So, like I said, from my take and being in the public school system, working with children, I know several fathers who have custody of their children. Not like a handful, a lot.
Let me ask a question, Miss Tillman. Let me ask you a question.
Me too. I know a lot too.
I know a
Go ahead.
lot, yeah.
And
Me too.
you being a teacher in the school, or you said teacher, correct?
No, assistant principal.
Okay, assistant principal in the system. You've seen what is the norm. I'm sure you've seen what would be the norm in society. My point is, how many parents, single parents, are there? Is it a majority of women or a single parent majority men? Simple. Like, which is it more? Single moms, kids living with the moms, or the kids living with the dad?
That's a weighted question.
I don't see. It's a weighted question because the only answer is it's more women.
No,
period.
But let me also explain
that's
to
the
you.
point.
There
That's
are
the
a lot
point we're
of.
making. In
Let me
Georgia,
let
automatically
me say
the woman
this.
gets the child. Automatically.
Let me say this though. There are a lot of dads that don't want custody
That's not
of
the
their
point.
children.
That's not the point.
So
That's not what
what
I'm
I'm
asking.
saying is, if the
Don't want
dad
to be
wanted
involved.
custody
Well,
of their children, that there would be just as many dads as there is moms. But there are a lot of
it is
dads who
very
don't want that
difficult.
full-time responsibility. They feel like the mother is the more suited, and they're okay with being there every other weekend and on Wednesday every other week.
I will.
So what's the answer
agree.
to the question?
I will.
Okay,
So
to
what's
answer
the
the
answer?
question, yes, there's more single mothers. Yes.
I will agree that there are a lot of guys who just don't step up a lot of the time for whatever reason it is, or they don't want to spend time, or they can't get along with the baby mom, or they don't know if it's their child. And the baby mom is going back to the point of what the whole show is, that they're not sure. So a lot of the times it's a big issue. So they just kind of play to 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But regardless of the reasoning, in most states, I would say, but I know Georgia very well. I'm personally afraid of the system when it comes to child support, when it comes to custody. I know a guy's got to spend mucho bread just to get his basic rights. And we're talking about a weekend or whatever. To get legitimized. Even if you're paying child support. If you're paying child support religiously, you have zero rights to your child. You can't say nothing about the school until you're legit. But why does a man who's been DNA approved, which that's usually how the child support process works, they actually make you take a test if the guy contests it. If the guy doesn't contest it, or whatever. But the point I'm making is that the woman is automatically given full-blown rights, but the man has absolutely no rights on whether or not he got to pay for this child. He has no rights according to the women's pro-women's movement. It's their body, so you don't have a say whether or not she even has a child, right? So when the child gets here, you absolutely have no choice on whether you got to pay for the child. both of y'all laid down is the voice of the women. Well, both y'all laid down, and it's my body, so he got to pay. But we have no choice. So we don't even have a choice on the DNA. We don't have a choice on whether or not this child is ours. Only thing we can do is try to contest during the child support and hope that works out. It's leaning towards the women, period.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why there's an argument on the fact that the system is not fair towards men. It shouldn't even really be an argument that there's an uphill battle when it comes to men. There's a clause called the tender years clause that's supposed to be outdated, but a lot of judges still use it. That basically says that when a child is under a certain age, I think it's under the age of 3 or 4, that they automatically go to the mother, regardless. It's called the tender years clause. If you think I'm making this stuff up or this ain't credible, you can look it up for yourself.
I know what you're talking about.
So, I've never heard of that.
I've heard a version of that, but I didn't know it was an automatic. I thought it was still some other.
No, automatically. And right now they use something called the best interest of the child factors. And they got all these different factors. In Georgia, they got 17 factors. And these different factors are supposed to decide what's the best interest of the child. But to be honest with you, it's arbitrary because it's up to the judge. The judge decides whether this or that is in the best interest of the child.
Well, I can't say this.
So that mom can be
I
very
agree
bad.
on that. I mean, I agree.
It doesn't matter how bad the mom is. If some cases the mom can be a horrible mom.
No, it does matter. If
but
you got
it's very difficult. It's very
difficult. Listen, for one second. My lawyer told me, unless she's on drugs or abusive, it's gonna be damn near impossible for you to get
even custody. If they're a piss poor mom, even if they make stupid decisions, even if their child is dirty as hell, even if whatever, if that mother is not and you got to prove it too. You can't be he say she say. So we're talking about drug tests, all kinds of stuff. But you got to go the pet detective on the whole situation in order to prove this, and they still maybe feel like.
Huh? Are y'all referring to like physical custody? Are you talking because you can do shared custody and joint custody?
Well, yeah, but most men are not going to get equal shared custody. They'll get a Wednesday every week and every other weekend. But they're not going to get it's very in holidays and split up birthdays and stuff. But it's very, very rare for a man to get 50-50 custody where this child is with you for 1 week or with them for 1 week, or you do a 2-2-3, or you share time as close to equal as possible.
I think the men give up a little bit too easy. I really do. I think I know, because I believe that if you stand your case and you and the baby's mom or the mother of the child have equal playing fields, then you can stand your case and y'all get equal rights.
I agree. I agree that
we have seen that happen all the time. I think the man bows down to the.
But do you know what? But do you know what that process consists of? Do you know what that consists of? That consists of probably a year of regular court cases. You got an initial conference. You got your first temporary hearing, then you got your final hearing. If you don't get what you want to get, which 90% of the time you're not going to get what you're asking for, then you have to appeal it. An appeal going to take anywhere from 6 to 3 years. You got to pay for a guardian ad litem. You got to pay. You talking about you at least $30,000 in to get equal time or more to have equal time with your biological child.
Wow.
There could be no reason that we sitting here having a debate about whether the system is stacked against men.
I think y'all need to talk to Miss Tillman's husband, because apparently he know what he was doing.
This is turned into a
but it is. But I agree. It is. I do agree that there is some unequal justices there. I agree. I agree. It's a costly price. It still does not change my mindset about
don't ask me for no DNA
test.
A
DNA test. Your mate asks for a DNA test. Now, if you're not in a relationship, that's different. But if you're my husband and the DNA test part, I don't see that. I still think it's a trust issue.
I see it as a fear, honestly. I think it's a fear because as a man, I'm like, why am I scared? Go and get the test. Make sure you're good. Like, what's the fear behind this guy knowing whether or not definitively that's his child? What is the fear behind that? That he just don't trust you because
No, it's the
you
emotion
cannot
of
trust it.
feeling offended. Is they feel offended. That's it.
Yep.
Well,
You don't even have
you
to
know
be
what?
married. They still feel offended.
Y'all know I'm a businesswoman, so I take everything as a business. You know, I don't take nothing lightly. I think about it all. If the father of my child asked me for a DNA test, I will not get offended. My last my son's father, he asked me for a DNA test, and I told him, sure, I'll pay for it. I said, well, but I'm gonna write a contract, and you will have to pay me back. And then we also want to make sure that all of whatever fees I had to pay or whatever I had to come out inconveniently, that you're gonna make sure I get reimbursed. It's nothing personal. It's business. So,
I'm I'm
I didn't have a
100%
problem
with
with
you.
that. And and I don't know if he did or didn't do it. I don't know, but you know, it's his, and he knew it was his, so it was all good. He could have went behind my back and did it. Honestly, that's what most men are doing these days. They
If
just
it's
take the
my,
child and do it
I'll just
themselves.
swallow
Hey,
his
look,
mouth. I ain't asking you nothing. If this is my child, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking a question, and I'm not telling my sons or whoever to ask a question. Take your child, if this is your child, and get a DNA test. I'm not.
200.
I'm
Well,
not
y'all
even
say
going through the
y'all
emotional
Right,
claim
thing.
y'all can never see
200,
y'all children.
250, $300 is absolutely
It's
worth it to have a
$100.
lifetime of confidence.
And as a man,
Because
you
this
should
is
want to. You should want to know for sure. You should not.
that's the best. That's the best money I've spent in my life. Was having this DNA test done for my daughter and that coming back showing that she's mine. There's not a question in my mind that would never cross my mind again in life. And me and this young lady wasn't married, but still, that's a question that I never have to deal with ever in life because I got on paper that this little girl is a match. Like this is my daughter, regardless. And for that confidence, for their father to have that is worth it. It's not about bruising the woman's ego. It's not even an attempt to offend her. It's not even about the woman. It's about the father having the same confidence, the same belief that the woman has because she's carrying this child. We'll
And
never get the,
maybe I'm a little more biased because I do have boys and I don't have girls. So maybe I'm so stronger about that because I told my son is 25, and I told him, I said, if you get a girl pregnant, we're gonna get a DNA test. And he was like, Mom, that's disrespectful. Like he was really upset with me that I actually wanted him to do that. And we had a whole conversation. My nephews and all of them are married, they have kids. And one of my nephew's wife said, if my husband asked me for a DNA test, I would completely have a problem with that. And she was really upset that I said, all y'all guys, 'cause we have nothing but boys in our family.
Yeah.
I said, all y'all need DNA tests. And they were really the women were really upset with me. But like I said, it's nothing but a bunch of boys in our family. We have two girls, the rest of them are boys. So maybe I am a little biased about that and them protecting themselves. But that's just how I feel. But I also get the
family.
emotional side of it too. Because if I was a woman, if I was married and my husband would ask me that, I may feel a little differently. You know what I'm saying? If I
Family.
was married.
To be honest with you, like I think that we kind of are trained that way to kind of in the way we think, but I think that's it should be done. Like it really should be done for because y'all are able to bond with this baby. The baby is growing inside you. You get to feel the baby move. You know what I'm saying? Like you pushing this child out of your own body. You have a level of confidence that this is yours.
Connection.
And so, I actually feel honestly that this would make some men actually step up more.
Absolutely.
I think if a
Absolutely.
man before birth looks at this paperwork and they say, hey, bro, it's 99.99999% that this is your baby. This is your child.
Yeah.
And he don't have that question in the back of his mind. I think not all men, there's still going to be some bums out there.
Right.
But I think for a good percentage of men may even decide that, you know what, this is mine. Because a lot of men don't step up because they don't know.
It's in the back of their mind
It's
subconsciously.
in the back of their mind.
I really believe that. I really believe
Well,
that.
sometimes the women, we don't get a true male perspective because we're too busy telling you how we feel, and
Right.
we don't take the time to hear how you feel as a man. Like I don't believe you married that a child that is born that's not yours, I feel like you shouldn't be legally responsible. My you know what I'm saying? You got some women that feel like this my husband, no matter if I cheated, he still should take care of me and the baby because I'm his wife. You
Yep.
know, you honestly have some women that actually feel that way, but I actually don't feel that way. So, you know, I think that it's important for us to have these conversations as a black community, because I think that we just turn our heads away from how our black men are really feeling, and we just become consumed with how we feel, how we supposed to be treated. Don't disrespect us as a woman. Don't do this. But you have to understand, a woman has a heavy burden to carry all the time. You know, when it comes to just in the community, period. We are just that,
But see,
I
like
guess, that light in the community.
we kind of gotta stop uh comparing struggles. We gotta stop going back and forth with who got it worse, because y'all don't have it worse than men got it. We don't got it worse than y'all got it. We got different issues. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And if we really wanted to do that battle, I could make it look like men got it worse. If I wanted to make that argument, we die quicker than y'all do. We don't got the support that y'all have. Abuse is equal, but it's 2,000 women's shelters in this country, but it's only one for men. In custody battles, y'all get most of the our children. You get alimony. You get more. All of these benefits that go
Now the
towards
women
what
I
we die.
know, they paying it.
We die in wars. You know, quicker than y'all do. We die younger than y'all are dying. We don't have the support for our illnesses that y'all have. But we call it in the patriarchal society, but it's not really patriarchal because y'all run things. If you offend a woman publicly, you're gonna get canceled. You offend a man publicly, who cares? So, but to be honest, that doesn't speak to all of the other issues that y'all go through that we don't go through. So it's
It
like,
was frozen.
if we continue to like compare struggles, we never gonna get anywhere. We got to figure out like, this is where we are right now. You guys got it bad, we got it bad, but we're taught that women are valuable through existence. Men are valuable through what they can produce.
Right.
Right.
But I definitely agree that if a man has a DNA test, whether he wants to or not, it sets in stone earlier. He has an impression. It has a father impression on him early, which is very important out the gate, because men have to fall in love with their child. Let's be real. Like he said, we don't. They're not. The last thing we had to do with that child being born was during procreation. After that, we have to have an imprint from that child in our mind, in our soul, in our heart. It's not an automatic thing, as some guys they are. Some guys, this is my seed, and they automatically have this impression of being a father. But a lot of guys they have to grow into that mindset, and depending on what their life was like, it might take longer than others. I think the DNA test will set them earlier and that impression in their mind that they have a child. And that is more important, in my opinion, than just it being an offensive act. I think it's a responsibility for society. You want to talk about black fathers not being there, etc. Let them know subconsciously that this is their child. There's no question.
Yeah, like earlier in the Carlos, earlier in the conversation, we spoke about what do you do if you're taking care of a child for 2-3 years and you find out it's not yours? What's your next move, right?
Right.
So it was kind of insinuated. I don't know if that's what's being stated, that what, you gonna give up on this child after raising them for 2 or 3 years, whatever, right? But on the other end of it, it's not that same energy on the other side. So you want us to pick up the slack for the men that are not being fathers, but some women are not willing to take up the slack for the women that actually are cheating on their husbands and having babies by other men. Since there are women out here that are cheating, that are getting pregnant by men that are not their husbands, then why wouldn't the other women want to step up and say, hey, well, I want to give my husband that confidence? But when on the other side of it, if a man ain't stepping up to do what he do, we as the good men should step up and say, hey, I raised for 2 years, then I shouldn't go nowhere. You know what I mean? It gotta be the same energy on both sides.
That's a slippery slope. I don't think a guy should stay just because he's been there, because I feel like eventually it's gonna be some animosity. I think it's going to be some animosity built up later on, and it's going to come back out eventually. Now you have some guys who do take a mentor approach to whoever the child is from whoever they're with, but to make him be a father and say you got to stay here, it just don't sound like a good idea to me.
Okay, well let me say this.
Have we lost Miss Tillman?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna let Miss Tillman tell y'all about June 19th, 2021, about about the festival and how it works, and the lawyer that's gonna be out there, because he may be able to help a lot of the men out there and educate them about what their rights are. So Miss Tillman, go ahead on and tell everybody about that, because we're gonna let you start telling everybody about that, and then we're gonna start coming to an end.
Okay, my signal is going in and out, so I hope I stay on. But I was just commenting that I think this is a real conversation that affects a lot of our Black and brown family, that needs to be discussed. Everybody's brought up very valid points, and at Juneteenth we are going to have a Black expo, a Black business expo, bringing out some of those Black businesses that are not providing products but more or less services. And one of those services that we're pulling in is a lawyer who is a female lawyer in Augusta. Actually, we're going to have a meeting this week to discuss that. I'm going to bring up this conversation because I think this is something that we need to bring to Juneteenth. Honestly, this exact conversation needs to be on the platform at Juneteenth. There are a lot of our brothers that are probably feeling the same frustrations that you've mentioned.
Right.
So we got plenty of stuff going on, but that day it's a full day. We start at 8 a.m. with a Saturday market. We have a Taste of Southern Soul food festival.
I'm supposed to be
all Black
going.
and
I
brown.
haven't paid my vending fee, but I'm supposed to be a part
I know
of
we're
it.
waiting on you though. all black and brown businesses, small businesses been established, new businesses, entrepreneurs. We're going to have a gospel showcase that night. We're going to have we got a cornhole tournament, which is a new venture we're starting with Black and brown brothers and sisters. Then we have a concert that night with Big Pokey Bear, that sings side piece. And friends. So we got that going on. A lot of events. Just a time for us to come back. Our tagline is seed, water, and grow. So we want to seed into a powerful network of each other. We want to water that by supporting each other and watch the growth and potential in our business industry.
Okay, that sounds really, really outstanding. I'm excited.
And now I need to
for the
bring this
knowledge that's going to be good.
Yes, and now we need to figure out how to bring this exact conversation to the scene at March for Hope. Other event is March for Hope at Juneteenth. So we got to figure out how to bring this exact conversation with all of you guys,
Right.
rather. We got to have this conversation. There's no way we cannot have this conversation.
Where is it
at
located?
The landing on Bogus Hill Road, which is our own private, it's our private residence, but we do private events, large scale private events. So it's on Google. If you Google the landing on Bogus Hill Road, it's in North Augusta off exit 5, right at the Edgefield County line. So as soon as you pass Murphy Estates, we're right there on the right hand side. But we got to bring this conversation. This is a good conversation.
Miss Tillman, I love what you and your husband are doing. Y'all are doing some powerful moves.
That's right.
I really like that y'all are showing Black love and what Black couples can achieve through all the things that you guys are doing. So I really do love that. So, but we want to go ahead on and let everybody give their last perspectives. Miss Tillman, since you was already talking, we're gonna give your last perspective about the topic of the day, and then Clutch, you go next. Carlos, and then I'll end it off.
My last perspective, I still believe that in a marriage or in a monogamous relationship, requesting a DNA test is a deal breaker. But I understand that there are some fine lines there that probably can support the reason for that request. Few fine lines in a
Okay.
monogamous relationship or into a marriage. But I do understand that there's a fight that the fathers have that mothers don't have, and we want to support that fight. I always want to do what's in the best interest of children.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Really in the best interest of children, and that is to have the support of both parents, both biological parents, and if biological parents can't be present, a loving parent, a loving standing parent.
Absolutely.
What you got, Clutch?
I feel the same as well, but as far as my stance, but I think if this was something that was put into law, and just make it something that is mandatorily done when a child is born, that takes a lot of pressure off the in-house tension of a father asking his wife or asking his significant other for that. And it's just a regular process. You know what I mean? I understand that there are a lot of married women that have a lot of integrity and they don't want to be questioned about something as vital as the birth of their child. But there are realities that I don't think women can relate to, and there's realities with women that I don't think us as men can relate to. But we don't have the power to have the confidence that a woman has in the birthing of our child. And there's hundreds of thousands of kids that are being born daily that don't know who their biological parent is, and they grew up their whole life, and when they're 30 they realize that they never knew their biological parent. And to me, this would put an end to those types of situations. But I'm sure there's a middle ground that we can come to, even if it's through legislation, that would prevent this from happening to a whole lot of kids and a whole lot of families, and take a lot of confusion out of the air, and streamline how this process works when we're birthing our kids. So I think it's something that should be done. I think it's a conversation that should be had. But I do understand there's a perspective from married women and from women that I'm not going to understand coming from a male's perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my last words, I think right now we have a lot of issues in the Black community, and you can track almost every single one to the family environment and how the children are raised, and what they're subjected to as they come up. So if the main issue is us as a Black community, how the children are coming up and what they're going to do next and as a next generation, then you want to start that out with a solid foundation with the mother and the father already in the right mindset that they have a responsibility. The only way to do that for a man definitively is for him to know that he has a DNA test. That's the only way for sure. Yes, we can say, oh yeah, baby, I know, I trust you, but why would you leave it up to chance? And the earlier that a guy has that going on is the quicker it would be. It's the quickest way for him to start out on the right foot. The earlier the better is what I'm trying to say. So that being said, I think it's more important for us to worry about the child than to worry about our own ego, so to speak. Just like I say, it starts out with the kids and making sure that we discipline the children just right. What you got, Pam?
Well, I always say we're stronger together. And I think that with a great foundation, like you were saying, is very important. I think we have to sometimes take our feelings out of the equation, because this is having a child and bringing a child into the world is not a trivial matter. It's something that we have to take, the most important decision that we're going to ever make is being a parent, or making that decision of saying I'm going to have a child and being a parent. And we have to take that very seriously. And also giving that father, I feel, the right to know for sure that this child is his. I think that only just going to make that situation stronger. I think it's also going to make it better for the child, and that the child doesn't have any doubts either. And like Clutch was saying, there's some children that they're not sure because, the things that the mother have done in her life. So, and and not to call out the mom. Everyone makes mistakes. We all, make wrong decisions, but that doesn't mean that you let the child suffer, because
Right.
that's what actually happens in the end. And if it's all about the children, then we have to put our emotions aside and let it be all about the children. So, saying all of that is, watch us every single Sunday at 5:30. Perspective with your girl Pam and your boy Carlos every single Sunday. I appreciate my guests for coming on. We really appreciate y'all. June 19th, North Augusta. Be there. I am going to put the flyer on the Perspective page and
Right.
on my personal page. So y'all be there. I'll be there with the hamburgers.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Sounds like a
Thank
good event.
you.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.